Today we're back with another math video. Basically, I'm going to be showing you, this is going to become a series about what you're going to need to know about to be able to get a good score on the middle level ssat. So I got average idea on what to teach in this video by the Tutorverse. They're a really cool company. They have their own SSAT book with over 1,000 practice questions, which also includes reading comprehension and verbal. So you can go get their book. So basically, what I'm going to be teaching is some measurements. But not really measurements. I'm going to be teaching you how to use the coordinate plane. The coordinate plane looks like this. This is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. So over here, because it's more toward that direction on the x-axis instead of toward the right, you're always going to see the x on the right side, and that tells you that if it's going in the opposite direction than the x, it's going to be negative. So the x is going to be negative. When you write something, it's going to be x number, comma, y number. So if I had a dot approximately there, what this tells me is, well, it's going to be negative x. So negative x. And then it's going to be a positive y because it's toward the top and on top of this line right here. And this center dot right there, that is called the origin. You may have some problems saying to find what a triangle on the coordinate plane looks like when it's reflected across the origin. I'll show you some problems like that. But you have it like this, and most of the time it's going to be on the grid. It's just going to take a bit too long to do that on this YouTube video. But now that we got that there, I'm going to tell you the approximate coordinate. You see this? It looks like about the same y coordinate as the x coordinate as well, because y is the height, and then x is how much toward the right it is, and y is how high it is, of course. And so that looks like, by how small the coordinate plane is, maybe about 1. And then so let me write that. But that's the y. About 1 high. So that distance right there, oops, what was that? Okay. That distance right there is about 1. Next, let's find the x. Like I said, the x is about the same as the y, but it's on the negative side. So it's still the same difference space from the line, but it's just on the negative side. So we're going to write is -1. That right there is the coordinates for that dot. Okay, let's erase all this. Let me redraw the coordinate plane. And we're going to do one of the questions I was talking about before. So now that we got things like that, you can write x and y. This is just if you're making a coordinate plane. And then, okay, wait, let me make this a bit better. Okay, made a better coordinate plane. So what we're going to want to do is, well, let's say you have a point there. That could be called point G. Or here you have point maybe Y. And here you have point X. I'm just going to got random letters from there. They'll call this triangle XYG or something like that in some kind of order. What this tells, and then they ask you, reflected across the x-axis. What you're going to do is this right here, that line right there, that's the x-axis, like I said. and then this line is the y-axis. So if you're going to reflect it, first of all, you're going to want to know what it looks like. This is slightly diagonal toward that direction. In this, if you opposite that, it's going to be that direction. So what that tells me is, well, we're going to place that dot right there from that right there. And then you're going to want to go lower for the G. And then this is slightly going in that direction. Opposite of that would be that. So just think of a reflection, basically. So then you get that. And then basically, that's all you need to do to reflect something across the X or Y axis. Let's say they say to do a 90 degrees turn of maybe that triangle. What you're going to want to do, well, like they say, do a 90 degrees turn. So you're going to want to erase some lines you got until you get just one of the lines. Next, imagine turning that 90 degrees. It would look like that. So so now we can just draw that. We know that's going to be one of them. Next, we had it like that. So all we have now is that. Next, we're going to have to turn this line 90 degrees. Since this is almost straight but slightly diagonal, that way it's going to look something like that. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to draw it like that. So you have that so far. I draw that back. Next, we got all that. We just need this. So if we draw that by 90 degrees, it's going to look something like straight, but then since it's a bit tilted, it's going to look like that. I put that back. So now that it's going to look like that, we just connect that. And that's what it looks like, 90 degrees turned. Let me erase all that. Now, I'm going to show you how to 90 degrees turn on a point. So this is a bit different. So let me redraw my triangle. Random triangle. It could even be a square. Just to show, I'm going to make it a square. Okay, wait, no. Redraw my X there. Okay, I'm going to make it a square. You know what? Even a rectangle. Like that. Now, what I need to do is, well, let's say this is A, point B, point C, and point D. Let's say maybe they say, make a 90 degrees turn on the point B, So, what are you going to do? This was definitely confusing for me. But what you do is you take that point, and that's going to be the center of rotation. So, for example, that's slightly diagonal down, but imagine that as a straight line. We're going to turn that. So if that was a straight line, it'd look like that. But since it's diagonal down, it's going to look even further and become that. So you turn that line. So let me redraw that. So that. And this is what we had. Next, if we're turning it on that point, we already did this point. Next, we're going to want to do this point. Basically, that's just straight up. A straight up right angle from that. So we get a right angle like that. Next, you're going to do this. Turn that 90 degrees compared to that. You get that. And then finally, you get that. So that's what it looks like to have it turned on a point. Basically, what that tells you is basically the point is a circle of rotation, and whatever you do, the point cannot change its coordinates on the coordinate plane. The point is always going to be right there. Before, it was like that. Now it's still there. So this is the comparison between before and then after. So that's what it looks like. Let me get rid of that. Tell the X in again. Don't know where that went. Okay, so that's what it looks like to be 90 degrees turn and reflected across a certain axis. But what if they say reflected across the origin? Before I said that dot right there, that is the origin. So that means if I go ahead, make a semicircle, they say reflected across the origin. That means if it's here, it's going to end up here. And if it's here, it's going to end up here. And if it's here, it's going to end up here. If it's here, it's going to end up here. Basically to the diagonal side. So so the chords are gonna change from negative to positive, and from positive to negative on both X and Y. So here to here, here to here, here to here, or here to here, like that. So we need to reflect that across origin. So what that's gonna look like is basically a reflection, just like that. So you got a semicircle. This is what it looks like to be reflected across the origin. And then of course you would get rid of this. So this is what it would look like to be reflected across the origin from that semicircle right there. So that's all for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, tell me if you want me to continue this and make this into a series of ssat prep. If you enjoyed this, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in my next video.